Hey there folks, this is yet another video from the Vintage Sewing Machine Garage. If you look at some of the other YouTube videos that I've made, you'll see a number of machines that look like this. I restore vintage home sewing machines. I restore a variety of different models and brands. One of my favorites is the one you see here. It is the Singer 66. This machine was made for almost 60 years and it began as a treadle model, and then some of the later versions such as this one, they added reverse or back tacking. And although the aesthetics of the machine may have changed, the core part of the machine, the incredibly strong engineered drivetrain, was the same. You will also see the mechanics of this machine in the Singer Model 99s and 99Ks, as well as the 185 models, those later 1950s versions that are done in mint green. But the great thing about the 66 is that, similar to a few other vintage machines, it has an 8 to 8.5 inch harp or throat space, which is unique because a lot of vintage machines are an inch narrower. For my purposes, it doesn't really matter, but for some of you, it may matter to you when you are sewing, bigger pieces. If you're a quilter, or maybe you're doing drapery or slipcover, something like that. Anyway, I have gone through the machine, and I'm doing the video here because it's going to be posted onto Craigslist, and I've gone through all the systems of the machine. When I got this model, I should mention to you guys, it's unique in that it is a little more collectible than most. Most Singer 66s are common, whether they are in the shiny, beautiful black lacquer versions with the extra decals that you often see, or in what's called a crinkle finish. But regardless, they're normally not that collectible or rare. You see them all over the place. They're no less wonderful. They were just made in large numbers. The reason I think that this one is somewhat collectible, though, is that when I bought it, I was in a bit of a hurry, and I got it home and I realized that what I had on my hands was a Blackside, and you'll see that listed, called out in the Craigslist post. And a Blackside machine refers to the fact that some of the parts or pieces that normally would have been done in nickel, people think it's chrome, but it's actually a nickel plate for the steel, they were done in a special plating process, if you will, for the steel. And this happened during World War II. During the war, we had a lot of material shortages in the United States, and as a result, some things like nickel and chrome were very hard to come by. And a manufacturer like Singer, they were limited in how many machines they could produce during the war. They didn't produce many, not for home consumption. And so when they did, they would sometimes, some of the pieces and parts would be, they have sort of a black, it's not a paint, it's actually a sort of a, looks like a black metal, if you will. This particular one has the bobbin plate in Blackside. The clutch knob, which you will see in the photos, you can't really see it from this angle, is also in that, as well as the foot itself, and in fact the bobbin. I even have a Blackside bobbin here. Sometimes you'll see this piece of the machine in Blackside, sometimes the back plate, and sometimes not. There was no official way to do it back then because they used, if they had nickel, they used it. If they had Blackside, they kind of had to use what they had on hand. And inventories in wartime shortages were kind of a weird thing. So they built the machine, and if you were a consumer lucky enough to be able to buy any kind of hard good during the war, you weren't picky. You said, "I'll take it," But anyway, this actually makes it a little bit more collectible, and it's a kind of a neat time capsule for the Second World War. And the fact that this machine was even made then makes it a little unusual because so much of the raw materials had to go for war supplies. Anyway, I'm doing this video today to basically show you guys the stitching of the machine and its potential. The 66 is one of those machines I often will choose when I decide to upgrade a machine to extra powerful. All my vintage machines are extremely strong and powerful compared to, say, any new plastic machine. They just leave the new ones in the dust. And for most of you, you don't need quote-unquote extra heavy-duty machine. But sometimes I have people who do a lot of heavy marine upholstery and outdoor fabrics, and they will sometimes ask for a little bit more horsepower. But this one I'm choosing to leave a mint and original because it is a Blackside model. But it's very similar to the one I use, my own sewing machine as a 66, and it's not upgraded. It's very powerful. So I've got some fabrics I'm going to work on for you guys today. I have basically some upholstery fabric and some denim. I've got some denim here I'm going to work on, and I believe I have a size 18 jeans needle, I believe is what I've got here. Let's start with this is sort of like a slip cover. I'd say that's medium weight upholstery. Let's see, and you can tell where I've been doing some test stitching here, so I'm going to come over here so you guys can see the new row. It's going to be to the far right of the fabric. And this has a light, of course a functioning light, but I'm in the sunroom today and I think it shows better in here with just natural light. Notice I can get my needle to slow down wonderfully slow. That's a characteristic of singers particularly. Most singers will let you do that. That was something that they purposely engineered into the machine. And it can, of course, go faster, which I'll do in a moment here. And I'll come right next, and you can see it moving a lot faster. Singers have that capability of going or sewing slowly, and that is because a lot of people learned to sew on singers when they were first getting their sewing lessons, and it was having a machine that you can slow down is really helpful when you're trying to learn to sew. But of course they can also go fast. Let's pull this up right quick, and I'll show you guys the stitching. And if you look right across the top right there. There we go. You'll see that top row of stitches. That is the long stitch. And then let's turn over on the back. I have a pink thread in the bobbin. There it goes. I knew it would focus eventually, guys. There you go. And I wanted you to be able to see the stitches. I'm going to come over here, and this is 1, 2, 3, 4 layers of a very heavy, this is a very heavy upholstery fabric. It's much thicker and heavier than what I just did. And as long as you can get it under the foot, the machine should sew for you. I'm going to start with my needle down, which you should always do when you're sewing at this level of fabric weight. And as you can see, it sews. This machine is willing to sew all kinds of heavy stuff. For those of you who need to sew things like heavy ballistic nylon or Cordura or Sombrella, this machine is ideal. I sell a lot of these machines to people who have boats. We have some lake communities in this area, Lake Wylie and Lake Norman, and people they need something that can really that can pierce those heavy, ultraviolet proof fabrics, and this machine is one of the few that will do it for you. Now, let's see how much time I've got here. Okay, I was checking my time there because I tend to ramble sometimes here, but I want to give you guys as much info as I possibly can. So this machine is also helpful. It has, right now I have a size 18 needle, I believe, but it will take all the way up to a size 21. Most of you will not, even for heavy material, you're probably going to use up to a size 16 needle most of the time. On occasion, you might need 18, but for those of you who really need those large needles, this is one of the only vintage sewing machines that will do that. It has a lot of flexibility. So now, you can see where I was doing some of my other testing here. I've got 1, 2, 3, I've got 4 layers of denim, but remember, within those 4 layers, I've got multiple seams, right? So I'm actually got about 8 layers total here, 6 to 8 layers, depending on where we are in the fabric. So I'm going to go ahead and sew for you. I'll come across on the 2 layers along with those seams, and then we'll get over to the heavier one. And again, I'll start with my needle down. The machine always appreciates that when you're sewing heavy stuff. Notice that I can make turns pretty easily here. And singers, straight stitch singers from this era are particularly friendly for that. Let's make sure I get my So now, guys, you can see where I came on the denim here. This is 2 layers plus, again, the seams. Notice that even when it goes, when the machine comes across these very dense seams that jeans have, it doesn't lose tension, right? It holds its tension so beautifully. Now you'll see the pink on the back side there. You know, you would think that all machines could do this, but apparently, particularly with new machines, you know, you're just not going to get that level of performance, unfortunately. So now I'm going to come over on the heavy. This is the 4 to 6 layers. When you start getting into those seams, you can see there. And I'm going to sew right through this stuff. It's pretty incredible what this machine will do. So let's come over and let's turn it over so we can see the new stitches that I'm going to be sewing. Just amazing. Like I say, it really does not mind going through this type of material. And I do some back tacking up front. I want to make sure I can show you guys. It's one of the things I love about the later versions of this machine. They do have reverse. So let's take a look here. Okay, this is where I went and put in rows of, again, these are long straight stitches in the white. And then on this side, I reversed it this time so we could see. These are the pink. That's my bobbin thread. And, you know, that's the hallmark of a really powerful machine. By the way, you can also, all we have to do is adjust. We can replace this needle with, say, a size 11 or 12. We'd lighten up on our presser foot. And you can sew very delicate fabrics with this. These machines were designed to sew all sorts of things. But again, the biggest demand I have for this machine is from those of you who have really heavy materials you want to sew. And anyway, I'm so glad that I have this 66. And again, if you're looking for a heavy-duty machine that will sew all sorts of materials for you, and you're not ready for an industrial, I really think you should take a look at the 66. Most of them, every machine I go through is restored, and that's essentially what I'm charging for. I'm charging for the labor. In this case, this one's a little bit more collectible because of its Blackside pieces, and so you know, it'll be priced slightly more. But the main point of this is to get a machine that's been restored, it's functional, it's ready to go, and then you can start working on your projects and not have to worry about the machine so much. Anyway, thanks for watching, and if you want to set up a time to see it, just let me know. Thanks.